Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome back to another video in this video here today. So I'm sure you've heard everybody on the internet talk about this topic ad nauseum at this point, but I figured I'd add my 2 cents about this topic and basically say the same thing everybody else has been saying. So if you don't know what's going on, essentially Fender made a little whoopsie and now they are the evil villain of the guitar world. Essentially what happened is Fender decided to go after and sue a company. It was some like Chinese manufacturer. They sued Yiwu Philharmonic Musical Instruments Co. that was manufacturing basically exact copies of Fender guitars and was like selling them on AliExpress or whatever. Fender actually won that lawsuit, but it was a little bit weird because the courts ruled that it was copyright infringement. And this is weird because copyright infringement is usually reserved for like works of art. Typically in the past, any sort of guitar part or manufacturing thing was protected with trademark law. It's the reason why you don't see any other companies making a Gibson headstock or body style really. Way back in the day, Fender secured a trademark for their headstock, but they were not so fortunate about the body styles. So that's why you see like Fender copy guitars will have a different headstock, but the body style will be exactly the same. Now the recent copyright ruling, which was at a court in Germany, which is really weird, just kind of shakes everything up a little bit and changes the way that these sort of things can be dealt with. Now that was the start of this whole thing, but that's not even the bad part. People were really freaking out about this because they were like, now they're going to use this ruling to go after other companies that are making similar Strat style guitars, and that is exactly what they did. Just recently they sent like a cease and desist to PRS over the PRS Silver Sky, and I think they targeted a couple other companies that are making Strat style guitars as well. I wanted to mention this as well. There's another main company that Fender is going after. They're a very small family run boutique guitar manufacturer called LSL Instruments. They do essentially just make like copies of Fender guitars, but since they're a small company, there's no way that they would have the legal fees required to be able to defend themselves in court against a company of Fender's size. Really, there's no way that a company like LSL Instruments, which probably no one's heard of before this, is really putting that much of a dent in Fender's potential profits. It's really just more of like a power trip thing. So yeah, they're kind of just bringing down the hammer on anybody that's making anything that looks like a Strat. And I honestly didn't think they were going to do this because it's really stupid. Obviously, you can never count on a corporation to do the right thing or to do what's best for the consumer or any of that kind of stuff. But you can usually count on a corporation to do what's best for them financially and act out of their own self-interest. But trying to go after a company like PRS is really just not a great play. Honestly, just mainly for the reason that now everyone hates Fender. They are like the evil villain of the guitar world. They're using the ruling to like bully other companies essentially. But the public backlash has been so bad that like I don't know how they're going to be able to follow through with this. A lot of people are boycotting Fender now and they're like, Fender's dead to me and like all this other stuff. PRS is a huge company. They're not a small guitar builder by any means. So if this were to go to a full-on lawsuit over the Silver Sky, it's not like PRS doesn't have the resources to put up a fight and make it a pretty costly and time-intensive lawsuit for Fender. The thing that I had said when the whole lawsuit thing happened was that at the worst case scenario, what I would think Fender would do is to just work out some sort of licensing deal where, okay, PRS can still make the Silver Sky, but they just need to give Fender like 10% of the profits or something like that. Because at the end of the day, yeah, it's pretty obvious that the Silver Sky is just a copy of a Strat, so it makes sense that they would have to give Fender a little bit of a cut from what they sell of that. But just trying to bully companies into not making their guitars at all is crazy to me. Another thing I've seen people say is that if Fender just made better guitars, this wouldn't even be a problem. This wouldn't be a thing they'd have to deal with. Because companies only do this and they only bring down the legal book on other companies, typically when the other companies are making better guitars than they are. If there's a company that's just making really crappy Strat copies and they're making no money, Fender is not going to waste their time going out of their way to sue them. Even if you look at the lawsuit era guitars of like the 70s and 80s, the reason that these companies were suing the Japanese companies is because they were making their guitars but better essentially, and people were just going over to those Japanese companies to buy the guitars. Also, let's not kid ourselves here. Fender has literally just been doing the same thing for like the last 10 or 15 years. Do we really need another classic Vintera vintage series? This one's the exact same guitar that we've put out for the last 20 years, but it comes in a new color. This one's the exact same thing, but it has the 60s pickups. The neck is very slightly different on this model. They're just regurgitating the same stuff over and over anyways. Like, I would maybe be more on Fender's side here with this whole cease and desist lawsuit thing if they were actually still doing innovative stuff and making new designs, but but they're just not. Fender also did this press release thing that was basically just a bunch of BS. Fender fully supports innovation and competition across the guitar industry. Fender's goal is simply to protect one of the company's most iconic and recognizable designs, while continuing to support a vibrant and innovative guitar industry. Obviously not, their goal is to make money. There's no bone in my body that believes that Fender really cares about like protecting their designs. It's all just about money. That's how it is with any company or corporation at all. Everybody's welcome and will be able to continue making and selling double cutaway and or two-horned electric guitars as long as they are designed sufficiently differently from the Fender Stratocaster. This is also crazy that they said, our focus has been on working directly with companies to find practical paths forward. Where there is cooperation, that can include transition or phase-out periods and concessions on monetary damages. I don't buy that at all. I don't think that's what their goal is to like cooperate with other companies or whatever. The comments on this Guitar World article are just flaming Guitar World. So yeah, obviously PR attempt completely failed. But yeah, I don't know, it's disappointing for sure and a little bit concerning, but I feel like with the amount of people that Fender just turned against them, I would hope that they would rethink the whole like following through with suing some of these companies like PRS and others. And here's my opinion on it. You guys probably know that I'm a big fan of Fender. I like Fender guitars. Ever since I started playing guitar as a kid, my goal was to like one day own a Fender guitar. I love the designs. They're still my favorite guitars out of any other guitar. But although I love the guitars and I love the history of the company and I think Leo Fender is genuinely a genius, I have no allegiance whatsoever towards any company at all. I find it so weird when people are super hardcore fans of like Apple or Tesla or Lululemon or whatever else, because that corporation could genuinely not care less about you. That's how it's always been and that's how it's always gonna be. These big corporations do not care about you. They do not care about people, they just care about profits. And I don't want to get on here and say everybody needs to go boycott Fender, no more buying Fender products, because you can do whatever you want, honestly. It doesn't really make a difference. I don't even support Fender's company really in the first place anyways, because every Fender product that I've ever bought has been secondhand, so none of that money goes to Fender. My $200 that I paid for this Duosonic is going to like Steve or whoever I bought it from. So I will continue to not support Fender financially just by nature of the way that I buy things anyways. But ultimately this whole legal thing doesn't really come as much of a shock if I'm being honest, because like I said, they've been churning out the same uninnovative designs for the past 15-20 years, just playing it safe, trying to maximize profits. It's what companies do. And if they have a window of opportunity to go after another company that could potentially harm their profits, they're gonna take that opportunity every time. I just didn't think they were gonna do it in such a ridiculously careless way. I'm trying to think of a really profound statement I can make or way that I can end off this video, but I don't really know. Genuinely, maybe the only positive thing you could take from this is that maybe because Fender is cracking down on people making similar guitars to them, it will inspire a little bit of innovation and some change in the guitar world, which I think is very welcome. That's what made Fender such a great company in the first place. That sense of innovation and creating something cool and new that the customer actually wanted. So yeah, I hope to see some change and innovation from other guitar companies and from Fender themselves. Who knows, maybe if they start making good guitars again or making new and innovative stuff, they might win back some of the respect that they've lost from this whole thing. But yeah, so that's kind of my take on it. I feel like I kind of just rambled for the whole video, but hopefully I was able to provide some sort of entertaining take here or there. Either way, I'm curious to see how this whole lawsuit thing unfolds in the future. I thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video.